Okay, so we are in the middle of school holidays here, and I thought today would be a perfect opportunity to do a video blog on building your child's vocabulary in everyday situations, because there's nothing like being on school holidays with 3 children at home for the better part of a week to make you realise how challenging it is to fit anything extra into your already busy days and busy lives that you have with your kids. I mean, this school holidays for me, between multiple sleepovers, multiple play dates, it's surprising I've even found, a window of opportunity to do this, to film this today. But I have, because my husband's taken the kids swimming for an hour, so this is it. The reason the hat's on the head is because I do only have a window of opportunity for around about an hour, and I've also been sick, and it has been school holidays, and the hair washing hasn't really taken place as frequently as it probably should have, so the hat's here to stay. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about is basically how your everyday natural interactions and situations that you have with your children can provide you with so many opportunities to build your child's vocabulary. It's funny because when I first started working as a speech pathologist, all bright-eyed and, excited and enthusiastic, which, I still am now, but basically what I did, back then for families is I gave them lots and lots of extra home activities and extra homework to do with their children, because I felt that, this was going to provide, them with lots more, sort of opportunities to build their children's communication skills. And, absolutely there is a time and a place for that, and absolutely you do need to often, have different situations or different times in the day where you do need to do that little bit extra with kids. But having become a mum myself in the past 9 years, I also realise how challenging this can be, in order to find that time in the day to sit down and do that sort of extra activities with your children. So what I want to do today is just give you a couple of natural situations that you can use to build your child's vocabulary without having to, set aside other time in the day to do that. So what I'm talking about are situations like bath time, or getting dressed, or even when you're going in the car with your child. These are all natural everyday interactions that we all do, and they provide heaps of opportunities to build your children's vocabulary. One of the strategies that's the best way generally is just basically talking about what's happening in the environment, and we call this technique commenting. So basically all you're doing is commenting about what you're doing, or maybe what your child's doing, and you're using the vocabulary that's appropriate to that situation. So for instance, in bath time, you might be watching your child in the bath, and you can be talking about things like water, or splashing, or bubbles, or you can be talking about, your children's tummy, or maybe their hands or their feet. And you can use this everyday vocabulary to really, build on, what your child understands and what they might begin to say themselves. So for instance, you could be watching a child play in the bath, and you could be talking about how they're splashing the water, or you could have, maybe a toy duck in the bath, and you could be talking about the duck swimming or the duck quacking. And by commenting about what your child might be doing, or what they might be seeing in the bath, is a great way to just simply, provide them with that language model. So you don't have to set aside a separate time in the day where you sit down and talk about ducks or talk about water. You can just use that natural everyday interaction, or that natural everyday situation, to really build on those skills. One of the best ways too, obviously, to build children's communication and vocab is through repetition and rhyme, because children learn and recall so much information through repetition and rhyme, and they love simple songs. So you can make up simple songs even in the bath about ducks quacking or water splashing, or you could even sing some of the familiar rhymes in the bath. You could count their toes, and you could talk about even, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive, if you've got a fish in the bath. There's just so many different opportunities that you can, really build your child's vocab this way. Another ideal situation is when you're in the car, because, being so busy now, we obviously need to be in the car a lot. And this is a great time where you can talk about or comment again on what you might be seeing in the environment. So you could be talking to your child about maybe a train that you might see, or you could talk to your child about the horn going beep You could even sing that trusty old favourite song, The Wheels on the Bus, going round and round. And so you're in the car, you're going from A to B, and you're using that opportunity to build your child's vocabulary. The most important thing I think to remember when you're using the technique of commenting is that you do need to often say the words over and over again. And this can become really challenging, it can become really tiring, but I promise you that children learn best when they hear that word over and over again, when they really hear that word repeated. And it's really important as well to think about where your child's at with their language. So if your child's got very few words in their vocabulary, then it's really important to modify your language and keep your language simple. So you might only talk about, say in the bath, you might talk about the duck, but you might only say duck, duck. Over and over again. Whereas for a child who's got more words in their vocabulary and you're looking to try to extend the amount of words that they have in their vocabulary, or maybe the amount of words that they're joining together, then you might look at building a little bit more on that. So you might say, look, duck, splash, splash. So you've added a few words together, but you've still kept that language model simple for your child. These are really important techniques because too much language sometimes for children, if they aren't saying too many words, can really overwhelm them. And what I've found in my experience is that if you keep your language model simple or just a little bit more than where your child's at with their expressive communication, then you're going to have more success with them actually trying to imitate what you say or copy what you say. So, you know, there's going to be times when you're going to have a lot more words and a lot more language when you're giving your child instructions to do things, and that's absolutely fine. But when you're in these situations and you're looking to really build on your child's vocabulary, try and keep it simple, try and keep it appropriate to where their language level is at, and, you know, add a little bit more for them to listen to or a little bit more for them to copy from. Other opportunities can be things like when you're getting your child dressed, perfect time to talk about, you know, arms up, do up buttons, shoes on, 2 feet. Again, you can talk about counting their toes, you can talk about tickling their tummy, you could even use that beautiful rhyme or game of peekaboo where you're putting the top over your child's head, and it could be, you know, where's Heath or whatever your child's name might be, 1, 2, 3, peekaboo, any of those sorts of opportunities where you're really going to, you know, use that natural everyday interaction, and I promise you your child will be really engaged because it's a functional situation for them. You know, you can use commenting all day, every day. As I said before, it can become really tiring, but honestly, that repetition is super, super important.